Hello and welcome to BillyBoyd.net. Today we're very lucky to be joined by Paul Holmes, Director of Sniper 470. Hello Paul.
Hi.
As everybody on the site should know, Billy was starring in your film, and I'm just kind of interested in more about the film and trying to find out some more information about it. So what's the film all about? Tell us the background to it.
Okay, well, I wrote it about a year ago, the script, for a scheme, short film scheme in Scotland that's backed by Scottish Screen and Scottish Media Group called Newfoundland. And the notion that I had was that I thought it would be interesting to explore the everyday life of a sniper. That's the basic notion. We are presented with ideas of heroic soldiers by the Hollywood cinema all the time, and I thought it would be interesting to explore the side of a sniper's life that isn't the heroics. A sniper who has to sit around, say, in a foxhole for hours, days, waiting for the next target to come around. That man or woman still has to eat, still has to sleep, still has to go to the toilet, still has basic human needs to satisfy, and yet is in an extraordinary kind of position. But you never get all of that in conventional cinema. All you get is the targets and what happens when the target comes along. So that was the basic notion originally, and then I thought it would make it interesting still beyond that if we put him in an even more extraordinary situation. If we put him in the future in a pod anchored to an asteroid in the middle of outer space, waiting for spaceships to go past instead of tanks or armoured personnel carriers or infantry. So that's how the basic notion came about. I submitted the original script to the scheme in the autumn of last year, 2001, and there was a short list of 14, I think it was, and we went and had a meeting with the commissioners, and they gave us feedback, and I did a rewrite, and then it was commissioned. It was a matter of a couple of weeks later, I think.
Yeah, see, it's interesting you're saying, and I completely get the idea of the truth element of it. If you did go back to wartime Berlin, you're instantly faced with kind of production values which are interesting to recreate. But I would think they're trying to set it up as a science fiction as well. It poses its own production problems.
That's right, and it did, in fact. The gunner, as Billy's character is called, has to float in zero gravity, and the environment in which his pod exists is entirely computer generated.
Right.
It's entirely CG, which actually makes a lot of things an awful lot easier. As a matter of fact,
right.
We were able to do quite spectacular action sequences with the pod under attack, with the pod with the big laser gun on the top of the pod firing at targets and so on. And it's quite effective looking, and it was to try to create it in any kind of real sense. That sort of thing would be horrendously expensive. CG is not cheap. But you get quite a lot for what you put in, and it looks great. So it's effective, So we had to find other more old-fashioned kind of special effects methods to use to make Billy appear to be floating. A lot of it is simply down to his own skill as a movement artist, and it was one of the things that when he and I were first speaking about the project. It was one of my major casting considerations, that I wanted somebody who could make themselves look like they were floating. Now, obviously, when you're shooting stuff, you don't always shoot a very big wide shot. So you can't always see what's supporting him.
Right.
But his performance is so great, it looks like he's really floating. even though the camera's at a funny angle and he's just standing on the deck.
So you've got the film commissioned, you're kind of going through all the production gearing up to filming. So where did Billy come into your mind when it came to casting?
Billy was in quite a high-profile position round about the winter, 7 or 8 months ago.
Yeah, some film.
Some film or other, I can't remember quite the name, based on some book, big long book, 3 books I think maybe.
Never read it.
But he was also he has a high profile here in Glasgow, or in Scotland as a whole, and he'd been doing some theatre work which was very highly thought of last autumn, The Ballad of Crazy Paola, I think it was called.
Yeah.
So he was in the newspapers a lot, and I wanted somebody who could look both tough and innocent. What was important for me was that this soldier, well, that he's not that he's just a boy, but kind of that he is just a boy, really. I'm not quite sure why I had this image in my mind, but I thought that innocence was an interesting kind of quality. You know, big wars, the soldiers that are fighting them have often been very, very young. You know, people who would be normally, in inverted commas, normally at university or starting out in their first job, or still at school sometimes. Very, 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 very young, and you know, carrying out this task, if you like, that is so, which is such a big deal, killing people, you know, or defending the interests of the nation, or you know, any way you look at it, being a soldier is a big deal. And so it felt right that there should be this innocent quality to his look. You know, Billy has both. You know, he can look tough and he can look innocent. And I think that comes across very well in the film, and I'm very pleased with that aspect of it. So he was kind of in my mind even before we started casting. And the film community, or the show business community in Glasgow, in central Scotland, is quite, it's quite a village, really. A lot of people know each other, and so we met quite early on and quite quickly, and he really liked the script, which was great for me. He just seemed to understand it completely, instantly, that I first spoke to him. He just understood what I was trying to do with it, which was a big relief to me, because you know, making a film like this, any film actually, is hell, really. You know, and you don't want, you cannot be in a situation, if you're going to be successful, in which your leading person, or any of your cast really, don't get it. They have to get it, because you don't have time to be endlessly trying to make them understand what you want.
And I would imagine even more so with this film, because it is a lot of just Billy.
Almost all just Billy, exactly. So it's a nice, you know, showcase for him. Not that he needs one, obviously, but so I was very, you know, I was very flattered that he wanted to do it, and you know, and we, you know, as far as the movement aspect was concerned, he was just fantastic from the very beginning. You know, he was sitting on tables and making himself float around, and he just looked fantastic in it. And we were able to use a variety of techniques to make him look like, you know, he was floating his pod. And one of the ways that we did it was to have a set that was like a hexagon. It's a hexagonal steel frame, basically. 2 hexagonal steel frames, about 8 feet apart, joined by steel struts, and this set could be rotated onto any of its 6 faces.
All right.
And the notion that I had about the architecture of this pod was that the engineers who built it, if you like, knew that there was no up or down, but they also knew that they had to secure things on it. So they just used the walls to secure things on. So all the furniture is all the way around this space.
Right.
So as soon as you get a big wide shot, you maybe see over in the distance his command console upside down or whatever. So the whole feeling of space is totally disoriented in it. So that's kind of how we make the interior of the pod kind of feel.
And so how the filming was quite quick, wasn't it? Was it 6 days?
6 days, yes.
Right.
For 25 minutes, 24 minutes really. So that's 4 minutes a day.
Right.
Which is, if you're doing a big budget feature film, that's very quick. But a lot of this is not a big budget film, and so that was a reasonable, comfortable kind of schedule really. And we didn't work late. No. We didn't do crazy hours, but it was great. We were just in a studio the whole time, 6 days on one set.
Right.
The logistical problems were associated with turning the set, with making a lot of odd props work. And this is where Billy's genius is just fantastic. Because I would have asked for a prop to be made according to the way I wanted the script. It appeared it might not always be entirely as I had wanted, because it was impossible to do what I wanted or whatever. And we'd be standing there and the script would say a certain thing, and I was trying to get my head around, well, how do we progress this onwards? And Billy would get in there and he'd be like, well, what I could do is I could just do this, and if you come over here you can see the way I'm doing it. And he was so helpful from that point of view. It was absolutely fantastic, and he just seemed to love getting stuck into the props and making them work. It's a very proppy film. He has to fix a computer, he's got bits of food floating around, and he has to he has to put the garbage in a garbage compactor and then crush the thing, and he has to wake up with his head covered in cockroaches, and all this stuff happens in it. And he just got stuck in and made it work for me, which was it was fantastic.
So the filming was a few months ago, 2-3 months ago now. May, and all edited. It is premiering this week. Are you happy with it?
Very happy with it.
Good.
Very happy with it. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to more people seeing it. Some at the festival, so the paying public, the viewing public, as it were, will see it for the first time, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they think of it. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
And what kind of life does the film have after that? I mean, obviously it's shown on Scottish television, but does it get put up on a dusty shelf, or does it have a life after that?
Short films tend to have a festival life. So obviously its first festival outing is the Edinburgh Festival, and it's a competitive environment that it goes out into. We try and get it into other festivals. I'm hoping it will get into lots of other festivals, and that's the kind of cinematic life that it'll have. Sometimes you get short films being put on mainstream or art house cinemas to accompany feature films if the programmers are quite interested in what they could provide with the short film. And there are foreign television sales as well. That's a standard way of exploiting a short film. So those are the kind of normal ways in which people can get to see it, I suppose.
There's a lot of interest on the site for people getting to see it, so I hope you can keep us updated.
I will do, yes, I will do. I mean, I can probably let you know as I find out what festivals it's got into.
Great. Well, all the very best for the premiere this week. Thank you very much for your time and coming in, and we look forward to hearing from you with more information on where it's playing in the very near future.